Stakeholders disagree with Rivers Speaker over lasting legacy claim. Rivers Investors Forum urges Rivers politicians to unite for state progress. Senate advocates placing burden of proof in election matters on INEC. On the foreign scene, UN's top court says Israel required to allow UN aid into Gaza. I'm Sam Chinedu, and the news continues after the break. Across 2 weeks after the roof of the dilapidated community secondary school in Okorago collapsed, she no longer safe returning to class. School by Nigeria FM revealed that all the classes in the secondary school section who recounted the October rainy day. According to him, the teacher had just stepped out of the class because of the rain and students scrambled to dry corners to avoid getting drenched.
Was in the class, so when it was falling, the class was so open, so I was learning. The teacher now went out from class because nowhere he can stay to learn, so was now in the class dodging the rain. There's a part of the zinc that is not open. Before you know, what I hear was a big heavy sound. I thought it's what they hit on the desk. Before you know, it was on my head, so I looked my hand, see blood was now rushing on my body. I now ran to the principal's office. No first aid, nothing in the school. So they now had to plug the native independent leave and put me on the head. Still at that, it was still giving me problem on my head.
Fabian says he's still traumatized and scared. He says sometimes he stays outside because of the fear of collapsing roofs.
We don't manage anyhow. We just stay one place, one corner. All of us gather one place. Even hit some of our students at the back. Sometimes if I go to the school, I will still be looking for the place that I've already fell down so that I can stay that area, so that it will not fall again and injure me. Sometimes I stay outside to learn.
Fabian's mother, Priska Chinda, sheds more light on the state of her son's health and the trauma from the incident. She says she's afraid of her son going back to school.
At times, he feels shocked and unconscious, complains of eye turning him and his neck dragging him because of the skull open. If not for God, he stays at home with fear of the roof falling. So at times, when he sleeps midnight, he will just wake up, my head, he will be screaming because no adequate treatments were taken. But we went to hospital then, and the bills spent a lot of money, of which it broke me down.
Mrs. Chinda says since the incident, she's yet to get any support from the state government. She also called on the government to urgently renovate the school.
I need a good education for my child because if the environment of learning is conducive, the kids will have appetite of going to school because there's nothing greater than education. So I want the place to be renovated so that it will be conducive for my child to school there and write his work. It's just a year remaining for him. And I need assistance because at least to aid me to take care of him too.
While Fabian and his mother continue to deal with the emotional pain of that incident, a psychologist, Iberedem David, says Fabian is currently going through what she called acute stress reaction. Dr. Iberedem said this while speaking on the kind of psychological impact a child can experience after surviving an accident like a roof collapse and the kind of support the child should be getting.
They could begin to have some experiences such as waking up in the middle of the night shouting. They could have nightmares, anxiety. So he could just be brought in to see a clinical psychologist, mostly behavioral therapy, to help him to overcome some of those anxiety issues that have come up because of the trauma. He will not necessarily be on medication at this time, and then we watch him, hoping it does not progress to PTSD.
In the meantime, at the junior secondary section of Okorago Secondary School, Eche, our correspondent saw teachers sitting under an almond tree on a bench because there were not enough chairs for them in the staff room. It is the same situation in the classrooms. Our correspondent spotted children sitting on the floor or on a desk to learn. There is also no functional toilet or potable water supply in the junior and senior secondary sections of the public school. Reacting to the situation, the community development chairman of Okorago Community, Elvis Onyeso Nwabasi, said he has written severally to companies operating in the area, the state government and the Ministry of Education, but nothing had been done about the school. He expressed concern for the safety of the children.
Several times, it's not one, it's not two. I'll be crying, telling them, please, Okorago community, we are part of River State, and we are one of the oil producing community in River State. As I'm speaking with you last week, we also all right, we applied to local government chairman to come and intervene because the condition, look at where the students are learning. No, they are not safe. Even if the staff, the teachers, they are not safe. No one here is safe. So I want the River State government to come and carry out proper renovation and proper job so that students can stay and learn.
In the same vein, the paramount ruler of Umuchogo community in Okorago, Eze Suleiman Elemua, described the schools as a symbol of marginalization and neglect.
That school, despite all appeals, everything has fallen on deaf ears. We had a near fatal situation. I'm sure you have seen the structure. Virtually everything there was done by a community effort. But they chose to marginalize this community. And not a bearing community. A community that contributes to the coffers of the state, the local government, and the federal account. We know the present government in River State, headed by His Excellency Sam Chinedu, is a very compassionate government. We appeal most passionately to him to come to our rescue. We don't have any politician that will help us. He's the only hope we have. He should grant us that succor.
Our correspondent gathered that personnel from the Ministry of Education carried out an assessment on the school last week. The ministry has also been reached for comments. And still in education, the Academic Staff Union of Universities have suspended its 2-week warning strike after getting fresh assurances from the federal government and the National Assembly to meet its demands. ASU President Professor Chris Piwuna announced the suspension at a press briefing in Abuja, explaining that the decision followed interventions by the Yayale Ahmed-led committee and the Deputy Senate President. The union says the 1-month suspension period gives the government enough time to address key issues like payment of outstanding salaries and allowances, review of the 2009 agreement, and funding of universities. ASU says ASU is warning it will resume the strike without notice if no progress is made after 1 month. And before the strike action was called off, former Rivers NLC chairperson Beatrice Itubo had said the union had no choice but to take action, blaming the government for failing to treat workers fairly. Remind the government to treat workers. From classrooms to the corridors of power in Rivers State, some stakeholders do not agree with the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amehule, who said that his work as Speaker will be remembered after his time in office. A public affairs analyst in Port Harcourt, Obiwa Akawa, says the Speaker's statement is based on personal opinion and not on facts. Akawa told correspondent Soibi Ruwari that it is the people of Rivers State who will decide whether the House of Assembly under his leadership was truly independent or was only serving political interests.
Is subject to public opinions. If you take a cursory look at what had transpired over time, that chamber, most of the laws made to that effect were not people friendly and weren't drawn from the aspirations of the people. So it is very, very difficult for him to convince people of good reasoning that the legislature has done fairly well in that aspect.
Akama added that people can easily tell when a House of Assembly is truly independent. He also said the Speaker's comment shows that the 8th and 9th assemblies, which he was part of, were never independent.
We had had assemblies in the past. Those assemblies had lived up to their billings, and those assemblies had been quite assertive in making laws and carrying out their oversight functions. They were more independent than what we are seeing now. It is an unfounded claim for the present legislature to claim that they have done well and can proudly say that they've left some legacies behind. That claim, by my thinking, is a hocus pocus claim.
On his part, a constitutional lawyer, Innocent Ekwu, advised the Speaker not to remind Rivers people of the hardship they went through during the 6-month state of emergency. He said the emergency rule was caused by politicians trying to remain relevant, not by a fight for true independence of the Assembly.
Who are to blame is the governor and the House of Assembly. They were immature. They didn't look at the interests of Rivers State. They looked at personal gain and personal interest. So on what basis is he raising his shoulder too high? You should allow Rivers people to evaluate him. They should rather use the wisdom and learning of that era to make sure that the remaining part of the tenure will be mutually coordinated to invest productive resource and dividend of democracy.
Dr. Ekwu also explained that the state has continued to suffer because political leaders have failed to focus on what is best for Rivers State as a whole.
So how can he raise his shoulder high? I rather think that he should be humble. He should do a reminiscence. They may have tried, but yet their activity have brought huge losses. Somebody have estimated that it will take over 20 years of diligent administration coming in to recover the losses in terms of infrastructure, monetary value that Rivers State have suffered in losses. So that is the way I see it.
We'll take a break. When we return, Rivers Investors Forum, Bako Equerry, USA and Canada urge Rivers politicians to unite. Stay with us. Back. The River State Entrepreneur and Investors Forum, REIF, have called on political stakeholders in the state to change their approach to politics by fostering unity and promoting a more progressive political culture. President of REIF, Ibifri Bob Manuel, made the call on Nigeria Info's Talking Figures today. He said the constant political problems in River State are scaring away people who want to invest and create jobs. Mr. Bob Manuel explained that where there is peace and understanding in politics, businesses grow and more people benefit.
An economic situation does not wait on just one aspect or one demography. There's several demographies competing for the same funds. If one demography is not inviting, is not ready, of course those funds would flow into other spaces. And those funds flow in short spaces and other states and other countries, because this political stability directly has a direct correlation to the positive attraction of investment in every climate. And unfortunately, in in our case, we've not been able to get our political stability right. We've not been able to get the perspective that has to do with the political angle right in Rivers State. We've practiced the wrong set of political ideals, and that has really taken the state very backwards. We're always in a circle, endless circle of political rancors. That is what we need as a people to come together as elders, as captains of industries. We need to come together and see how we could reschool our political mind.
Comparing the economies of Rivers and Lagos states, Bob Manuel observed a widening gap in growth paths, noting that Rivers State has lost significant ground in the past 6 months under the state of emergency.
It's really tragic what the state would have gone through in this 6 months of emergency rule in the states. That action would have obviously taken the states 10 years back economically, because the investors' confidence would have plummeted in the states drastically. It is the private sector that actually drives investment-related activities in every environment. They need to hit the ground running. They need to drive investor confidence, and they need to do that like yesterday, immediately.
And still on calls for unity in River States, President of Ogbako Ikwere USA and Canada, Dr. Patrick Ugo Anyanwoke, has called on the former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, and FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, to settle their political feud for the sake of the development of Ikwere land. Ugo Anyanwoke said this while addressing journalists at the end of the third OIUSA Canada Free Medical Outreach and Surgical Mission held at Bishop Elewa Memorial Hospital, Rumo-Biakani. He revealed that the non-governmental organization was at the verge of settling the impasse between the two former governors of River State prior to the 2023 general election that saw the two Ikwere sons contest for Nigeria's presidency.
Whatever you do in politics, always remember home, that home is home. It is not that Ogbako sat and did nothing. This Peace and Reconciliation Committee had what I would call an elaborate strategic engagement with our two brothers. We had meetings with them. We engaged with them very well. And I can almost say that we understand what the issues are because they were very open. When they discussed what those issues were, we didn't think these are issues that we could not reconcile. So I cannot thank Ogbako USA Canada enough for the elaborate engagement that was done. To see that we bring our two brothers together.
The Ogbako Ikwere USA and Canada presidents, 18 partners and donors who supported the medical mission, said the NGO is collaboration.
We reach out to a lot of organizations. We have Americare that really supports us with so much of the medications that we bring here. We have the Blessing International that supports us with a lot of medications. We have our brother, Dr. Chima Timothy, who owns a pharmacy in the United States and a pharmacy here in Nigeria, and donates pretty much half of the medications that we utilize in our medical mission, and we cannot thank him enough. I want to thank other collaborators.
President of Medical Visions for Peace, Dr. Ogu Emejiru, lauded the OIUSA Canada for their initiative in giving back to the society. Correspondent Nnamdi Wala reports that Ikwere Doctors Forum, represented by its Public Relations Officer, Dr. Godwin Iche, participated in the 5-day free medical outreach and surgical mission. At the national level, President Bola Tinubu has urged the Senate to screen and confirm Dr. Bernard Mohamed Doro for appointment as minister. Tinubu's request was contained in his letter read by Senate President Godswill Akpabio during plenary. After reading the letter, Akpabio referred the request to the Senate Committee of the Whole for screening and confirmation as soon as possible. Away from that, to a tragic incident in Niger State where the death toll from a petrol tanker explosion in Esa community has risen to 42, with over 60 others injured. The incident happened on Tuesday when a tanker overturned and exploded as residents were reportedly scooping fuel from the falling vehicle. Grieving residents blamed the poor condition of the Badagi-Agye road for the accident, urging both federal and state governments to urgently rehabilitate the highway to prevent further loss of lives. According to a report from the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, 42 people died, including 9 males, 24 females, and 9 children. Over 60 others, comprising 20 males, 7 females, and 7 children, suffered varying degrees of burns. Many of the victims were among those attempting to collect fuel from the tanker before it burst into flames. On the international scene, the International Court of Justice, ICJ, says Israel must allow the United Nations and its agencies to bring humanitarian aid into Gaza to help meet the basic needs of the people living there. In its advisory opinion, the UN's top court said Israel has not provided enough evidence to prove its claims that the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees is not neutral, or that many of its workers belong to Hamas or other armed groups. The agency has denied the accusations, while Israel's ambassador to the UN described the ICJ's opinion about the agency as shameful. On the news this evening, you heard that an HA student says he no longer feels safe returning to class 2 weeks after his school roof collapsed on him. Stakeholders have disagreed with the Rivers Speaker over his lasting legacy claim. Rivers Investors Forum have urged Rivers politicians to unite for state progress. The Senate is advocating placing the burden of proof in election matters on INEC. And on the foreign scene, UN's top court says Israel is required to allow UN aid into Gaza. The news was edited by Martha Okere. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Sam Chinedu. Thanks for listening.